What's going on, guys? So today we're going to talk a little bit about Dak Prescott and his upcoming contract renewal this offseason, everything going on. First thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about his 2019 season last year. And so he had 65% completion percentage, 4,902 yards, which is 1 yard short of tying Tony Romo's record for the most passing yards in Dallas Cowboys single-season history. I want to point out he didn't care in the slightest. He was kind of ticked off that his team missed the playoffs, and that's just a leadership trait. And everybody knows about Dak, knows that's just how Dak is. He cares about winning. He had 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, really good ratio last year. Want to point out that his career stats are better than Carson Wentz's in pretty much every form. Over their entire career, Dak has 2,000 more yards. He has 18 more touchdowns, 17 less fumbles, 2% higher completion percentage, 0.7 more yards per attempt, and his passing rating is about 4.5 points higher. Carson Wentz has thrown one less interception, and his backup won a Super Bowl, which to me speaks more that Eagles team was really good than what Wentz accomplished that year. Obviously, he had an MVP caliber season, but his team was really good. His backup won the Super Bowl for them. There you go. Also want to say that it speaks to the importance of having a reliable backup quarterback, which I'm going to get to a little more later. I want to talk about Andy Dalton. My buddy who's an Eagles fan is going to hate me for this, but I'm just giving my honest take on the subject. To Carson Wentz's credit, at his best, he is really good. I'm going to look at a chart real quick, and this is NFL Next Gen Stats. If anybody wants me to post the source, just ask and I will. So we're looking at Dak Prescott from 0 to 10 yards. His QB rating on the left side of the field, 83, league average. Matter of fact, very on point for league average. Middle of the field, league average, a little bit above, but it's considered within average. On the right side of the field, above league average. Nothing incredible, but pretty good. Compared to Jared Goff, left side of the field, league average. Right side of the field, league average. Middle of the field, above average. Same thing with Carson Wentz. Left, right, league average within 10 yards. Middle, above league average. So they were both better in the middle of the field for 0 to 10 yards, but Dak's right there with them. Now, when we talk about 10 to 20 yards, Carson Wentz, league average, left side of the field, right side of the field, and the middle of the field. Jared Goff, same thing as 0 to 10 yards. He was league average on the left side of the field, the right side of the field. Jared Goff is really good throwing the 10 to 20 yard pass in the middle of the field. That's what he excels at. Dak Prescott, left side of the field, above average. Middle of the field, way above average. His passer rating was 133.1, thrown between 10 to 20 yards in the middle of the field. On the right side of the field, above league average. Now this is where Dak really stands out above his competition. If you're looking at Carson Wentz, Carson was really good throwing to the left side of the field for 20 plus yards. His QB rating was 102.6. Goff was average. His was basically 84. Dak's was 112.8. So they're pretty comparable there. Now the middle. We'll talk about the right side of the field first. So passes longer than 20 yards to the right side of the field. Carson Wentz was league average, 79.5. Jared Goff was really bad, worse than average, 32, and Dak excelled, 114.2. But this is where Dak really stands out. 92 quarterback rating, which is within average, although a little bit above average for the middle of the field for 20-plus yard passes. Carson Wentz was 48.1, which is way worse than average. And Jared Goff was 14.6 QB rating, thrown to the middle of the field, above 20-yard passes. It's atrocious, guys. That's a terrible stat. Clearly, Jared Goff overall, unless he's throwing to his left side, doesn't do very good when he's throwing the ball more than 20 yards. So his deep ball was not very good last year. I want to bring up Aaron Rodgers went 6-9-1 in 2018. He had 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So stats-wise, he had a really good year. His team did not. Last year, his stats were basically identical. I think he had 2 more interceptions and 1 more touchdown, which, by the way, guys, 2 interceptions in a season is pretty insane. But he went 13-3 last year, so the team was much better. Rodgers, you might say slightly worse, but basically the same, basically identical. So Rodgers does have 1 Super Bowl, but it kind of shows how hypocritical people are with the lack of criticism you get if you have 1 Super Bowl from a decade ago. Now, Rod Marinelli's defense was problematic. I actually made a video. I deleted all my old videos just because I took a hiatus from my channel for a long time. And one of them was about Rod Marinelli's defense being antiqued. I basically said the Tampa 2, this bend don't break defense doesn't work very well in today's league. And Cowboys fans ripped me a new one for that video. Turns out that season kind of proved me right. I didn't want it to. I'm a huge Cowboys fan. I have been my whole life. I'm from Texas. I wanted us to win the Super Bowl last year, and I thought we had a chance. Clearly, I was wrong. But Rod Marinelli lost his job in the offseason. It was obvious that the defense needed to go a different direction. So that deserves some of the blame for why Dallas wasn't very good last year. For whatever reason, in a lot of games last year, Dallas just came out flat. Play calling was a lot less creative in games we lost than in the first few games of the season when we were really good. And it's like we had the 3 wins. In that 4th game, I forgot who we played off the top of my head, but play calling was just completely just lazy, just boring. And I think it's a conspiracy theory to say that Jason Garrett took over the offense. Whatever you want to call it. Certain players have things to say about Garrett. Throwing players under the bus, stuff like that, throwing other coaches under the bus. Des Bryant has a lot to say about him. Jesse Hawley does too. Overall, I think he's a good guy. I think he was pretty well respected by players. I think he might be somewhat guilty of placing blame on others internally, at least at times. But either way, if you want to say that Kellen Moore was in control of the offense, which he probably was the whole season, he was a work in progress. So sometimes he flashed signs of brilliance. He was really good. Other times he struggled, and the team went through growing pains because of it. Regardless, one big criticism Dak is receiving is that he was really good against bad teams and average against good teams, and then a lot of his good stats were in kind of trash minutes. So there's a little bit of merit to that. Dak struggled at times. I wouldn't say he was bad. There might have been a couple games here and there, but overall, I think at worst he was just okay. He was average. At best, I think he was really freaking good. So we had a different game plan for certain teams, though. So like I said, the offense wasn't as creative. There were games where we try and just run Zeke when there's 8 guys in the box. And play calling definitely played a big factor in some of those losses. I think Zeke played a factor in some of those losses. He lacked explosiveness at times last year. Some games he looked really good, but other games he just wasn't running as hard. And Tony Pollard, on the other hand, looked great at times. He looked super explosive. Honestly, looked faster than Zeke. Is he as good of a runner? No, and he's not as big, not as strong, but definitely looked more explosive at times. Like I said, the defense deserves some blame for last year too. I want to point out, for as good as the receivers were last year, they were also 4th in the league in drops. And we had a new wide receiver coach, Sanjay Law, who I didn't know a lot about. I think he came from Indianapolis. And one thing I noticed almost immediately was he was teaching receivers to jump when they didn't need to. It's something I picked up on because Cooper was doing it, and Gallup was doing it too, and they weren't doing it the year before. And so I think that ended up causing a lot of drops. I don't know the exact number, but I know we had 24 drops, and a lot of them were just players jumping in the middle of the field when they didn't need to. Players need to catch with their hands, and I think that'll be a big improvement this year with hopefully proper receiver coaching. Brett Maher missed a ton of kicks last year. There's no doubt that late in some of the games, Dak's stats were padded. But like I said, at worst, he was average. At best, he was really good. Cooper had his issues. Zeke had his issues. Both of them got paid. Not to mention, I think season was kind of an anomaly for Dak. Between 2016, when Dak first started for the Cowboys, and before the start of last year, Dak had the most game-winning drives in the NFL since he started playing with 14 game-winning drives. Now, I can't confirm this with stats. I just couldn't find the stat, but I'm pretty sure he still holds that record from 2016. I don't think anybody's passed him yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I really can't confirm that. Now, the narrative that Dak is only good in trash time is kind of goes against the narrative of the rest of his career. So it points more to me to the growing pains of our offense last year in general, under the first season of a brand new offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore, of course. Now, one thing I've heard from a lot of the media is that Dak should be angry and feel disrespected when Dallas recently picked up Andy Dalton, and that it's a leverage move. To me, it's purely Cowboys haters saying this, and also just a lot of these guys in the media don't actually watch the Cowboys play, so they don't actually know a lot about the team. Guys, I've watched every Cowboys snap basically since I was a little kid. Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old, and his team invested in a quarterback in the first round. They're still starting Aaron Rodgers. They're basically saying sometime in the near future they're preparing for him to retire and to move on. Dallas's decisions have kind of proved the opposite. They've proved that they're invested in Dak. Cowboys fans are all aware the backup quarterback's been a big need ever since Romo retired and Dak became the starter. Andy Dalton has been successful in the past, but he's kind of in the backside of his prime. He's in his early 30s now. We don't know for sure if he's really still a good starter in today's NFL. And when I say that, I mean he's not Tom Brady. He's not Phillip Rivers even. And Dak's not Brissett. If you look at Phillip Rivers and the Colts, they basically told Brissett, you're still on the team, but you're not our guy. They signed Phillip Rivers to replace Brissett for the near future, to at least give Brissett time to grow. That's not why the Cowboys signed Andy Dalton. Now we know Dalton's formidable. And also, we didn't sign John Kitna or Kyle Orton to let Tony Romo walk. We signed those guys to have good backups and have a plan in place when, if Orton did go down. As we saw last year, Dak getting injured was a problem. He played against the Eagles Week 16, but he was not healthy for that game, and we paid. We lost our shot at the playoffs because of it. Dalton's contract guarantees him $2 million and a $1 million bonus. He's not getting paid a ton unless, God forbid, Dak gets hurt and misses some serious time. Then, yeah, Dalton can be paid up to $7 million. Now, what I do know is if we had Dalton last year, then we would have probably felt more comfortable not to play Dak Week 16 when he was hurt, and Andy Dalton would have started against Philly and maybe would have made the playoffs. So that move makes sense for Dallas and has zero to do with Dak Prescott. For better or worse, Dallas has basically showed their hand with their offseason moves. They've showed Dak Prescott that they're invested in him. The day the Dallas Cowboys fired Jason Garrett and hired Mike McCarthy, they told Dak Prescott basically with their moves that there's a championship window to win right now. I mentioned Green Bay drafting a quarterback in the first round. Dallas basically did the opposite. Now, they took the best player available in the first round of the draft, but they put a guy that's another weapon to put around Dak. They drafted a wide receiver. So you don't build a team around your quarterback in the offseason and then just not resign him. As far as this current contract negotiation goes, I don't think it's fair to call him selfish. Right now, I think Dak's doing the right thing. He's letting his agent handle it. And as a fan, it can be frustrating because a agent's got his best interest in mind, and he's going to play hardball with the Cowboys. And, the Cowboys, powers that be, they have to be used to this. This is how contract negotiations typically work in the NFL. And it's the team's job to be able to pay the right guys and put the right guys around him. It's not Dak's job to take pay cuts and stuff like that, at least not at this point in his career. I do believe at this point, the sooner we get the deal done, the better. And I do still think there's a good chance it will get done. Obviously, he could play the season on the franchise tag, but I don't think it really behooves us to even let him be slightly upset going into the future. If the money's already agreed upon, which I kind of have the understanding that it is, then we shouldn't let like a 1 year detail on the contract decide whether or not the deal gets done. If we want it to be 5 years and they want it to be 4 or vice versa, I think we need to get the deal done. Having him play on the tag could hurt us long term, in my opinion. You're going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now, but years down the road, this contract looks better and better and more reasonable the higher the cap gets. So honestly, guys, this is potentially the best offseason we've had in a decade. One of the best off seasons we've had in my lifetime, to be honest. We don't need to ruin it by playing hardball with our franchise quarterback. We built this great team around Dak. We finally put the right coaches around him. We got the right players around him. We got to have him, and we don't want him to, have hard feelings with us either. So, I think you got to go through the contract process, and sometimes it can be a bit messy. But we don't want him holding out of camp and stuff like that. We need Dak to be 100% all in like the rest of the team is right now. And that's on us to pay the guy. Because, we saw what happened with Zeke, and it didn't get super ugly, but I think it hurt us in the near future. When he came back, he wasn't quite himself at first. And, that's just my thoughts. So leave me a like, give me a comment about what you think about this. I'll be doing some more Cowboys videos in the future. I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm also a big San Antonio Spurs NBA fan. I write for SpursTalk.com, Spurs website, so I might be doing some Spurs videos as well. But leave me some feedback, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'm out.